Hey friends, welcome back to the Gentle and Lowly Co podcast. I'm Addie Ott, your host, and today we'll be talking about taking a summer Sabbath. Now, it might not be exactly how you're envisioning, or if you don't know what summer Sabbath is, or just Sabbath at all, if that's new, we're going to talk about that a little bit. However, I will link below in the show notes some of our conversations we've had on the podcast in regards to Sabbath, because that's a conversation we're having here a lot on the podcast. And we're not going to stop anytime soon because I know how much this benefits me, but I also still need help as I'm discovering this gift that God has given us. So I'm really excited to continue this conversation. And that's part of why we're doing this for Gentle and Lowly Co specifically. So let me have a disclaimer right up front. First, a warm welcome to our new friends, wherever you're coming from, if you're tuning in on YouTube or if you're listening as normal on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I just want to say thank you again for sticking here and, being here, and you have a chair pulled up to the table. I don't take that lightly that you choose to spend a little bit of your time, honestly, a lot of your time with me. So thank you so much for being here today. And okay, again, another disclaimer. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can tell we're outside in the woods. You're like, what is this setup, right? Okay, so a little bit of a story time. So, as you guys know, I currently live on my family's farm. It used to be my grandparents' house. It's a very tiny house, kind of cottagey, and I love it so much. Me and my dog, Kodak. It's kind of the perfect little oasis right now for this season that I feel like God has given me. And the cool thing about living here is I've had so many summers growing up here. However, one of the biggest things for me and my faith personally has been connecting with God and nature. And so that's why, because this episode is a little bit different, honestly, really different, I wanted to bring you guys out here to a place that's so special to me. And you might hear some water and the creek and the stream passing by, and you see the sun setting. But this place, I just remember having so many good moments and memories with God where I'd hang up a hammock or just sit in the grass and just talk to God or just journal or just watch the sunset. And I think some of those things are just the hidden gems of when we spend time with God, He will answer us, and just cultivating that relationship with Him. So that's why we're outside, because we're kind of talking about pausing and slowing down for a season. So all that to say, we usually have our normal segments for our show, but today we're just going to talk about what the next month is going to look like for Gentle and Lowly Co. So again, a little bit of a backstory. If you're new here, or if you've kind of come back around, or you're a longtime friend and listener, you know that Gentle and Lowly Co is something I've been building and trying to cultivate on the side and bring a community together to help remind myself how to carry the gentle love of Jesus, and also hopefully encourage you how to do that in your own community, wherever you find yourself and wherever you go. Wherever we go, we get to carry the gentle love of Jesus wherever we go. So that being said, I do currently have a full-time job as an addition to doing this, and I love both of them so much. I can't express how much. Well, okay, that's another book for another time, but I can truly tell you how much of a joy it is to be at a workplace where I love what I'm doing and I get to use all the assets and facets of my creativity. And really, I think the Lord is continuing to teach me what it means to serve with excellence in my unique field of creativity and to really bring creative solutions to a different field of higher education. So I'm really excited about the work that I'm doing there. And that being said, May is one of our busier months with everything kind of happening over at school and students graduating and different things. I truly want to be present and really make sure that I'm able to serve well and serve with excellence in the highest priority possible, which is my job. And this is a huge high priority for me. However, because we talk about Sabbath, and I'm still learning and discovering how to practice this well, especially in my current season of being unmarried and dreaming with hope for the future, but also just hanging out with my dog and Kodak. Like, what does this life lived on purpose and on mission look like for me or for you in whatever season you find yourself? Especially, what does Sabbath look like as a person who is often alone in their home, right? And it doesn't mean, oh, woe is me, but it means, is there a deeper cultivation of God in the midst of our waiting or in the midst of our just quiet? Are there these quiet pockets or moments where God is inviting us into with Him that He's saying, hey, would you come to the table with me first before you go out into the world, be sent to carry the gentle love of Jesus wherever you go, right? So I say all those things because we're going to be taking a summer Sabbath for Gentle and Lowly Co. While I love this so much what I get to do, this is such a heartbeat of a natural overflow that I want to continue doing, and I want to continue doing it really, really well. So that being said, there's also another layer we're going to unpack a little bit. So we have curated collections that we're going to be launching, and I'm so excited for you guys to see those designs and to wear them, and for hopefully gospel-centered conversations to spark and divine encounters to happen. But in order to do that, there are markets that happen, and I love market season. I love it so much, getting to interact with you guys and become your friends and get to hear how God is working in your lives, and also just praying for things that are happening, how we can partner with God in the things that are happening in your life and your community. I love market days so much, but I also want to show up as the best version of myself. So if you're any kind of small business owner, or if you have a friend who sells sourdough bread or flowers like I do, I have a couple friends who do that, then market season is like right around the corner, or it's already here. Now, this is very countercultural in the sense, because when I first started Gentle and Lowly Co., the first 2 years, I pushed so intensely in regards to markets, just way too many for the capacity that I was operating in. And then I scaled it back because I was like, that's not realistic, that's not healthy. And then I scaled it back even a little bit more last year. And it still was quite a bit of work in trying to find that rhythm and that balance of how to rest and how to give out of an overflow, this overflow of creativity that I really want everything I share to be this overflow from this depth with God. Not that it hasn't been or it never is, but I think there's a deeper invitation that He's calling you and I into in our day-to-day today. So that being said, we're only going to have one market a month starting in June. So there's going to be June, July, August, and September. That's on the docket for right now. You can go online and kind of see when those markets are going to be there. I will give a little bit of a spoiler. We are going to go to Franklin, Tennessee. I'm so excited about that because I love Franklin. We're going to be at the factory at Main Market. So that's just like a big spoiler right there. So save the date for that one, July 19th. It's a Saturday. But okay, all of that stuff, all of those things, it got me thinking, if I want to show up in the best way possible to really hear God's voice and to know this even deeper friendship with Him that I know He's inviting me into, what needs to go away? How do you operate a business with a very ministry mindset for us to set our eyes on Jesus out of a really good place of overflow? That's the question I've been asking probably for the past year and a half or so. And again, we're going to Sabbath. I love Sabbath so much. So I've been having this conversation with the Lord for a long time. Honestly, probably even longer, even before I started Gentle and Lowly Co. I would notice on my drives up to work where it would be, I'd always have to have something on. I'd always be doing something to have my attention, something to fuel my mind or my brain to keep it going. And don't get me wrong, there were moments of pause and quiet where God's like, Addie, we're going to turn everything off, right? No music, no podcasts, no videos, nothing, right? And it was so refreshing. I will be honest with you. However, I have noticed this decrease in my attention span to get things done, not just to get things done, but to be present with people. And another thing that God's been really pressing and putting on my heart, being available for others. So whether I go to the dog park with my dog, or go to Walmart for picking up groceries, or Target, or the one grocery store we have in town, whatever it looks like, I want to be available, not just in my calendar, but in those interruptible moments. Am I allowed to be interrupted? Is God allowed to interrupt my schedule? These are just some of the questions I've been processing and pondering, and maybe you can relate to. So that's quite a bit of a backstory. You're like, Addie, what is the point of this? Why are we still outside? let's get to the point, right? Okay, I want to learn and continue learning how to rest really, really well, to discover more of what this means to create out of an overflow. You guys have no idea, I genuinely love creating. Like, I look at this camera angle and the screen and the backlight and the sun, the sun setting, and then the field over here. And it's just beautiful how God is just lighting up everything. And I love to create and share the moments of what God is doing in my life to hopefully encourage and spur us on to the ultimate purpose of what we're living for, to help us fix our eyes on eternity and more people know the gospel. That is my heart. So I always go back to this thought, from an Instagram post to a podcast to a blog post to even a book. If there's one thing in there that strikes a chord with some person, that reveals to them a deeper understanding of who Jesus is, or a deeper understanding of the gospel, or for the very first time, all of that's worth it. It's all worth sharing the hard things and sharing the real things and being transparent in my life of the challenges, the trials, and the deepest joys I have ever known in walking with Jesus. That is why I create. That is my purpose for creating. And I feel like it'd be such a waste to have these tools and to not do anything with them. So that is always going to be my why, and I probably will never stop talking about it because he's the one who gave it to me. And I love that. I love him for that. However, there is a time as a creative, if you know this, if you do anything professionally, it can be hard to continuously create and just put things out there. And I want to get to the point where I'm not striving, in a sense, where I'm just creating and I'm just basking in God's goodness and his love in whatever that looks like in my life. And also acknowledging the harder times and the waiting, and how the waiting is hard, and how there are unmet expectations and unanswered prayers. And a lot of that is another reason why we're doing this. I'm currently in a very intense writing season of my second book, all about prayer. And so I don't want to miss these opportunities that God is again inviting me to lean in and say, Addie, don't miss this. Don't miss this, to share with other people, to share with the people I love, to share with the people who need this hope, where he's been so kind and so gracious to give me just a glimpse of what that means in everyday living. So here are some of the logistics and some of the things that I really hope you'll come along for this journey with me. So there's going to be a pause for all of our social media, for all of our podcasts for Gentle and Lowly Co., and even the Gentle Recap, the weekly email, which I have been loving so much. It's honestly one of the favorite things of my week. It's seriously so fun. However, I have felt this tugging of where I want to create this yearly rhythm of rest. And what does that look like, where in a world of creativity and just hustle culture and business, where it's like we got to go, the Lord says, let's take a step back and rest and not underestimate what he can do through the benefit of entering into his rest. So we're going to pause everything here. I do a lot of work for my full-time job on social media, so I'm creating in two different avenues, so to speak, and I really want to set some more boundaries on how I use social media to continue creating out of an overflow. You just hear the spring or kind of the creek kind of turn on. There's like this water irrigation thing because it's farmland, and it's like I want that water to keep flowing, to keep stirring in my soul and in my heart, where I'm always surprised by hope. I'm always thankful that there's a wonder that it hasn't turned to cynicism. I think the cost, if we don't pause and we don't stop, is life will flash by. People will be missed to sit down and to share their stories and to share stories of hope with them and to bear burdens and to pray together, to break bread together. All of these things, will miss all these moments to be surprised by hope and to continue in that wonder of the God we serve. I don't want to lose that. And I don't want you to lose that either. So everything's going to pause for this month. So I'll be back in 1 month on June 1st. However, as I do work online, you might see that little green status light go on here or there. But even for my personal life, I'm not going to post anything for a whole month. And I think this is just a really good reminder that life is worth living. I know that can sound really cheesy and just so over dramatic sometimes, but not everything needs to be shared. And I think I'm learning even more what that truly means. What are those moments and seasons for me and God just to connect, and those truths that I need to savor and hold on to. And so what this looks like for me, I've kind of mentioned it a little bit on the podcast, where I am going to put even more boundaries and more parameters on this device right here on my smartphone. And I love what technology can do. I can FaceTime my friends, I can call them, I can, connect online. There's so many friends I've gotten to make friends with through online, and then we're friends in real life. It has been such a blessing to have that kind of community in your pocket. However, I've also noticed some of the downsides. And there's all these studies, of course, we know them. We know the effects and the side effects that are happening to young adults or just even young teenagers. And I have such a heart for the next generation. And I think, man, if we are encouraging them to put those parameters and those boundaries on their phones, why aren't we doing it as adults? I don't think I'd be able to just stand up here and say, hey, yeah, you should do that, when I don't even do it myself. And I know what it's doing to the ways that I interact with people or the ways I watch movies now. It is so sad to me where I have to have something constantly, it seems, and we can't just appreciate these moments of quiet. So all that to say, this might not be for you, but this is what God is putting on my heart, where I have a flip phone, and that's going to be for when I go out and about. And then I also got a home phone. Yes, a landline. And you may be thinking, Addie, did you even grow up with one? Yes, I did. It is still our Kroger card phone number. If you know, you know. So I do that to encourage you, where there's going to be some boundaries where this phone is going to be put to bed. And so because it's me and my dog, then I have other ways for my closest friends and family to get a hold of me and for emergencies and all those things. But I really want to focus on that time that I think God is inviting us into, that time of quiet. And you may think, Addie, I don't have the time to do that. That's okay. That's totally okay. I'd encourage you to take an hour, take 15 minutes, whatever Sabbath looks like for you. That is the season God has invited you into. For me right now, I have a lot of time on my hands, and I think I'm using it kind of poorly, if I'm being honest. And I don't want to blink and wake up and be like, wow, I have all these books I want to write, and I don't have the time to do it. I don't have the time to share what I think God has really encouraged me and to encourage you. And how sad would that be? It makes me sad thinking about that, where I don't want us to waste our lives. And there's a lot of podcasts that I've listened to, and I'll link them below. All super good podcasts about why you need a digital fast, how we're scrolling ourselves to death, all those things. And it is convicting. It's so convicting. And we all know it's convicting. We have all these conversations about it, but are we taking it seriously? That's my question for myself first, and that's my question to you as well. So you will notice on our socials and on the website and everything, you'll notice some resources. If you want to join in a Sabbath of some kind or a digital fast, you can do this too. These are a few of the things I'm going to be doing, and I really want to read more. So this is kind of my accountability. Here we go. This is it. So for me, this next month is going to look like showing up in my work the best way possible, serving with excellence, and being adaptable and being available for the people around me, whatever that looks like, and being willing to serve first and put my hand up to go first. So it's going to be a pause, but we have resources, some different books about why we're distracted, how to practice Sabbath well, and how to kind of reclaim our time, and just going back to the simpler things and the way that God designed rhythm. I mean, even this video, as long as I'm talking and recording this, I'm like, wow, have I wasted a lot of time? And I know I haven't. So hang in there with me as we make it to the end, because I know this is a longer one. But I truly believe if we engage in this rhythm in some way, in some facet, however you're able to in your life, I think we'll be better for it. And I think we won't just have a highlight reel to tell or to share. I think we'll be able to show and say, yeah, God met me there in that season. He met me there in that waiting, or he met me there in the chaos, or he met me there in the grief. Now, a lot of these things, you might be saying, well, it's easy to say, and I absolutely agree. It's another thing to live. So that's why I'm challenging myself and challenging you to live a life in a way that is different from the world, to be set apart. I think it's what God calls us to do. And he encourages us to set aside time, to find him, to know his voice. And so may we do that really, really well. So you'll notice, in addition to some resources, there's a post with our favorite podcast conversations from the first quarter or so. And I think you don't want to miss those. If you have missed them, go back and listen to them. For our final thoughts for our conversation today, thank you so much for sticking it to the end of this conversation. I know it's a little bit different than our usual format, but it's something that I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse into why we're doing this, and a little bit more of why it's on my heart and why I feel really compelled to take this step into what Sabbath looks like in an even deeper way, and how to live in the quiet in a purposeful and meaningful way. So my friends or family watching this, if you made it this far and you said, wow, what is Addie doing? Then you have my phone number, and then you can text me, shoot me a text before 8 o'clock and I'll get back to you. If not, it'll probably be the next day, but we can get coffee or lunch, dinner, breakfast, whatever it is, or go to a movie. Honestly, whatever it is, I'm up for it. And I would love to know the ways that God is working in your life. And for our friends who are here for the podcast, if you do this challenge, if you take any sort of a digital fast for a week, for 24 hours, or just pull back and just have Sabbath and have margin in your calendar, whatever that looks like for you in the season, please let me know. I won't probably get back to you right away. It will probably be a month. And you might get an automated message of saying, hey, we're on pause, we're practicing Sabbath right now. Honestly, send an email at hello@gentleandlowly.co, or put in the comment of this YouTube video, or go to our website, gentleandlowly.co, and you can find a contact submission form there. And I'd love to know what God is doing in your life. And I'll see you guys in a month so soon. I'm so excited for what God has in store for us for our first inaugural Summer Sabbath. That all being said, have a wonderful, wonderful month of May. Don't forget Mother's Day. Have the best month. And we'll be back here on June 1st. Bye, friends.